Formerly, you led the integration of Tameer Bank and Telenor to create easy-paisa in Pakistan, one of the leading MFS implementations in Asia. If a telco in Nepal wants to offer MFS today, it appears that they would need to follow that model of tying or integrating very tightly with a bank. In what ways are these business partnerships different than other customer-vendor relationships?
Okay, it's a interesting question. What easy-paisa was doing was primarily creating a new brand of financial services. Mm-hmm. So when you are like connected or jointed at the hip on a joint brand, the relationship becomes very different than normally just a customer vendor would. Mm-hmm. But there are various ways of like deploying mobile money in the country. So if you just want to use MFS services of a bank by the agent network, which is provided by a telco or a mobile network operator, then you can get into a very specific agency agreement with them, which could lead towards what you were saying, just a generic customer vendor relationship. But whenever you have a brand which gets involved, then your dynamics of relationship changes. Because brand is where the money gets spent the most in these deployments. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on how the Nepali banks and telco operators want to operate. Telco could offer its agent network to banks just as a cash in cash out network, and then the bank develops its own brand. Then you're not really joined at the hip. Mm-hmm. But in a specific question, because you did mention easy-paisa, mm-hmm. It was a different new brand which was evolved, so it was a very tight integration.
Mm-hmm. And what are the challenges of bringing banks and telcos together? The challenges in particular.
Okay. I think the biggest challenge is trying to find out from the banks that does it really make sense for them to get into it. Are they looking at it as an alternate channel for their customers, or are they looking at it as a business on its own? From the telco's perspective, they need to also understand that what kind of ROE and ROI they have. I mean, these are significantly large entities, both the banks and the telcos, and the most difficult thing is get large banks and large telcos to work together. Mm-hmm. I've experienced in my deployments that smaller banks work better with large telcos, and telcos which are not very you can say interested in like controlling the value chain of mobile money works better with larger banks. So it's who you choose. It's like marriage, which will have a long lasting. So you could be both fancy and you could be, but it may not be very lasting. And we've noticed over the last many months since this whole thing has taken off that there are a lot more divorces happening than marriages between telcos. So banks are going on their own agnostic way, and the telcos, wherever the regulatory loophole is there or there are no regulations, want to run the business themselves. But the biggest challenge would be to have a business case which is joint